little video to look back on some great moments.
A new Red Sox single-season record for home runs, 51, and David Ortiz now stands alone. It is number 400 for David Ortiz. Ortiz to right field. Back goes Souza. Looking up. It is gone. David Ortiz, the newest member of the 500 Club. Big Papi, the greatest clutch hitter in Red Sox history, adds to his resume with number 500.
Watching that brings back some amazing memories, not just for you or me, but all that have watched your illustrious career. Now I'd like to welcome a few members of the Padres organization to present you with a gift from the Padres. First, let's bring out President and CEO of the Padres and former Red Sox COO, was part of the 2004-2007 World Championships, Mike D. Next, please welcome Padres Special Assistant of Baseball Operations and former Red Sox teammate, Mark Loretta. And now, like you, one of the greatest to ever play the game, and I believe both of you will soon be enshrined in Cooperstown. The National League all-time saves leader and Padre Hall of Famer, Trevor Hoffman. Tonight, the San Diego Padres are pleased to honor your career and commemorate your last All-Star game, which was played right here at Petco Park with this custom surfboard. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for my friend, Big Papi, David Ortiz.
Padres about to lock horns in Game 3. In time for a look at the Red Sox lineup. Brought to you by BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. It'll be Dustin Pedroia, Xander Bogaerts, and Mookie Betts. Hanley Ramirez at first, Sandy Leon doing the catching, Jackie Bradley, followed by Chris Young, Travis Shaw back at third, and David Price, the pitcher, batting ninth. Against the Padres starter, brought to you by McDonald's. I am loving it. Jared Cozart, he is 0-2, a .514 earned run average.
Let's go to the defense now for the Padres. They have made 99 errors on the season. Solarte at third, Sardinas at short, Shrimp at second base, Myers at first, Dickerson in left, Jankowski, the center fielder, John Jay in right. There's your battery with Norris and Cozart.
Here are tonight's umpires. They're brought to you by ToyotaCertified.com. That's Kerwin Danley behind the plate. Brian Knight as first. Tony Randazzo at second. Bill Miller, the umpire, at third. And we're available. This telecast can be heard in Spanish by selecting the SAP button on your TV remote. SAP presented by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory back Toyota certified used vehicle right now. And here's the weather, 69 degrees and a forecast partly cloudy, but a very pretty night for Game 3 of the series. Red Sox looking to take the series and have been getting some help from the Yankees tonight. Last we checked, they had a 2-0 lead in the 6th inning on Toronto. Red Sox tied for first at the moment as Pedroia gets in. And the first pitch is in there for a strike on Dustin, hitting .325 with 12 homers, 58 runs batted in. He has hit safely in 12 of his last 13 games. 2 for 5 last night. And he grounds one immediately to Ship at second base, who will throw him out. Red Sox will get on the charter after this one and head to Toronto. They will have an off day on Thursday, but 3 mammoth games waiting against the Blue Jays in packed houses every time they're in Toronto.
And you'd have it no other way. You put yourself in position to play September baseball, fighting for a crown. This is exactly what this team was asking for.
Xander Bogaerts 1 for 4 with a run last night. The batting average is getting perilously close to the 300 mark. Now 302 with 17 home runs. He could use a string of hits. Mookie Betts on deck. They're now in the 7th inning with the Yankees leading Toronto 2-0. And that dips down and away from Cozart, who was with a Miami Marlin team until July 29th. He was dealt to San Diego as part of a 7-player trade. This is his 7th start with this team in 2016. He's 26 years old.
He is going to throw a ton of cut fastballs.
Yeah, throws a cutter, a 2-seamer, 4-seamer, pretty good curveball. It's a hard curve, and he'll mix in a change every once in a while. But the fastball is the only pitch that is above average on the scouting report.
Talked to a lot of guys around this organization. They say it's almost like a confidence issue. Like he doesn't have a lot of confidence in any of his pitches. He's a little bit, I don't want to say scared, but he's trying to figure out himself as a pitcher out there and hasn't quite settled in yet.
The 2-2 is in tight. Mookie Betts next. Padres today celebrating the 80th anniversary of the club beginning play in the Pacific Coast League. And the legendary Ted Williams. That's why they're wearing the 1936 PCL jerseys. Red Sox with throwbacks to the same era. So a bit of a different look here for Game 3. A marvelous ceremony before the game, hosted by Don Orsillo on the field and giving David Ortiz what you would expect in San Diego, a gigantic surfboard.
Not sure if Poppy surfs, but it was a nice gift.
He does now. 3-2 on the way, and rattle foul.
Bogey spoiling a couple pitches there. We're looking at a 3-2 count here. Saw a pretty good breaking ball that he fouled off, and then that riding fastball in on his kneecaps. He's staying alive, looking for a better pitch to hit.
And the 3-2 again from the right-hander.
Go the other way with it.
Just got a piece of that one.
You know, you talk about it, Dave, with the average starting to dip down towards the 300s. This was a guy who was hitting in the 340s not so long ago. But since the second half, he has fallen off a little bit, and it's almost in direct relation to him not hitting the ball to the opposite field as much as he was earlier in the season.
Well, he's hitting 256 since the All-Star break, 253 since June 14th. He was 329 at the All-Star break when he made the All-Star team, and that one's going to miss down low. He had a fine at bat right there.
Yes, he did.
So he's on with ball 4. There's a 9-pitch at bat.
I always say a walk is as good as a hit, and I mean, he just had to fight off some nasty pitches just to keep that at bat alive, and then you get the walk, so he did exactly what he needed to do.
Mookie will get in there at 317, 30 homers, still stuck at 100 RBIs. It's been that way for a few days. I'd like to change that number right here. He did go 2 for 5 last night in the Red Sox win. As the Sox evened up this series, 1 game apiece. It ends here tonight. And in for a strike. He has reached base in 24 consecutive games.
I think Mookie Betts is actually wearing stirrup socks from the older era of the game.
Yeah, if you look around the ballpark, if we get a shot of the great big scoreboard above the Petco Park logo, that's in black and white tonight. So everything's a throwback. Do you remember black and white TV?
Barely. Just barely.
I'm old enough to remember it. It was horrible. It was like you were being tortured. High fly ball into left field, but not deep. And Dickerson coming in on it. And there are 2 down for the Red Sox. Hanley Ramirez next.
I remember when programming used to go off at like 1 in the morning, and then you just get that test pattern thing in the middle of the TV.
I'm old enough to remember, and I'll bet more than a few of our viewers who are tuning in tonight will recall the days where you had to use the rabbit ears
and put tinfoil on it.
Yeah, and angle them ever so. If you wanted channel 3, it had to go right. If you wanted channel 7, it had to go. You know, it was terrible.
And you had to get off the couch to change the channel.
Yes, stand on one leg, you know, on your tippy toes, point west, hold your nose. I mean.
No clickers, no remotes.
Hanley at 284, 20 homers, drove in his 89th run last night. And takes a soft breaking ball in for a strike. He's had a pretty good series, 4 for 9. See what he's done lifetime against San Diego.
See what Bogaerts thinks about running here.
One, and he swings and misses. Sandy Leon hoping to bat in this inning. Just getting started. It's the last time the Red Sox, at least in the regular season, are going to play in the state of California. Spent a lot of time out here since the All-Star break. Bogaerts holding. Line to left field. Dickerson charging in to make the catch and retire the side. Nothing doing for the Red Sox in the first. New England Chevy dealers. John Jay is back with them. He's in right field. Sardinius at short, Myers at first, Solarte at third base, Dickerson at left, Norris in center, Schimpf the second baseman, we love to say that name, Jankowski in center field, and Cosart is the pitcher and number 9 hitter against the Red Sox starter. Presented by New England Audi dealers, that is David Price. 14-8, 3.92 ERA, and he has found his form, winning his last 5 starts. Jay, a 295 hitter, comes up empty on the first one. Swing and a miss, strike one. Jay just reinstated from the 60-day disabled list last night, back from a fractured forearm, hit by a pitch.
We might see a few strange looks with the throwback uniforms tonight. Mookie Betts wearing the old style stirrups. There's about one guy on every team that still does it. Very few people. And now David Price actually has Red Sox under his red stirrups.
Wrapped to Pedroia down on a knee. Quickly disposing of Jay.
Hey, let's talk Red Sox defense, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Shaw back in the lineup at third base. Bogarts, Pedroia, and Ramirez round out the infield. And in your outfield, the hot-hitting Chris Young in left field, Jackie Bradley Jr. in center, and Mookie Betts in right. And here's your battery. Sandy Leon is going to catch David Price tonight.
Price is 6'5". He looks even taller with these socks. Everything downhill. Here's Sardinius, 268 with a homer. That was a great shot that Mike Naracci, our director, just showed you there from on high at Petco. Give you the idea what a beautiful ballpark this is.
Recently ranked the #1 best ballpark in all of Major League Baseball.
Here it is, just spectacular with the bay off there in the distance. And you know, this crowd tonight at the moment is the smallest of the 3 days and nights we've been here, but the game's starting at 6 o'clock local, so it's going to grow and grow, and you're going to see even more red in the stands. More Sox fans will be getting here shortly. Plenty of them here, though. Although, frankly, it's a destination for a lot of teams to come to San Diego, so a lot of ball clubs travel well. Not as well as the Red Sox, but
if you want to go see your favorite team play on the road, why not come here?
They are on their way to a 6th consecutive losing season, so you can get seats.
You can get an entire section if you want.
Two and two on Sardinius. And a lanky left-hander fires. Just missed. It's the park in the park. The berm out there in right center field. Great place to see a game.
Don't even have to buy a ticket. Just stroll by and hang out.
See a lot of families out there spreading the blankets. A lot of strollers. And a lot of diapers. 3-2 popped and foul out of play. In fact, right now the Padres are 57-81, so teetering right there on the brink of a losing season.
Right on the brink. If they win a couple more, they'll be okay.
It's not going to happen in terms of avoiding that. That's right there in front of them, unfortunately, for the Padres. Here's the 3-2. And he got him. He struck him out. 85 right on the corner.
Tried a couple change-ups to Sardinius there on the outer half of the plate. Just dropped that one right in there. I don't even think that is a changeup. That might be a little cutter that he took even more off if it was just 85 miles an hour.
So 2 down. Will Myers next, 257. He's hit 24 home runs. Base is empty, and 2 down here in the first inning. Myers, a North Carolina native, originally signed to play at South Carolina. He was going to go to college there before he signed with Kansas City. Had he gone to South Carolina, he and Jackie Bradley would have been teammates. and tied him up inside for a ball.
Of course, they brought him here to play center field. Had he gone to South Carolina, he would not have played center field. Not with JBJ hanging around out there.
No, sir. But Myers has really come into his own this season, setting career highs in many categories. That fastball just a little high. Rice wanted it, didn't get it from Kerwin Danley. This was close.
Up and in just to the top of the strike zone. Kind of hard to miss high with Myers. He's a big kid.
Broken bat, fouled away. That one came in on the handle and cracked it.
Mentioned two of those categories that you talked about with career highs for Myers. Two pretty important ones, actually. Home runs. He's never hit 24 home runs before. He's got that right now. And also stolen bases. Got a career high in stolen bases. Power and speed.
New bat for Myers. Shaw hugging the line behind third. And it's down and in.
I like what Price is doing so far in this game, just kind of feeling out the strike zone, trying to see how far off the plate he can throw the ball and still get a call. None of the pitches that he's made so far this evening that have been not where he wants to throw it have been out over the middle of the plate.
3-2 ground ball. Pedroia with a dive, and he can't get to it. And it'll be a base hit for Myers with 2 down. Pedroia diving onto the grass, but it got past, and a single for Will Myers.
Pretty fast infield down here in San Diego. Pedroia a couple steps hard to his left, but he can't come up with it. I think that ball might have just ticked his glove as well.
So Myers stays hot. And Solarte is next, the third baseman with a little bit of pop. 15 home runs, hitting .278. Scoreless in the first.
Solarte loves to jump on the first pitch.
Hard hit on that first pitch down the line. It's going to keep on rolling. Young has to chase that one up into the corner. Here comes the run. Myers rounding, and he's going to score. That's going to be a double. And as you said, Steve, he likes that first pitch, and he hammered it to get the first run in. 1-0 Padres.
Really tough when you're the visiting team to really understand how the ball's going to roll around down in the corner of the outfield. If it hits that sidewall, it might stick a little bit. If it doesn't, it gets all the way down to the corner. Then it kicks out again. By the time Young catches up with it, it's too late because Myers is all the way around and scoring easily.
59 RBIs for Solarte. Been swinging a good bat the last 50 or 60 games. 22 doubles. It brings up Dickerson at .253 with 8 home runs. And dropped in there for strike 1. For Price, his first career appearance against San Diego.
Price should curveball Dickerson into submission here. Doesn't look good on breaking balls, and I would think even less so from the left-hand side from Price.
Ground ball to the third baseman. Shaw will gobble that up and retire the side, but not before they get a couple of hits and a run. San Diego in front after 1-0. opportunities. For information on becoming a season ticket holder, please visit redsox.com/season tickets or call 877 Red Sox 9 today. 1-0 Padres. We go to the second inning. Sandy Leon to lead things off at 3:52. And we think this is the first season in Red Sox history they have played in every ballpark in California in the same season. Seattle, San Francisco, Oakland, Los Angeles, Anaheim, and finally San Diego.
It's a hard thing to do because there's so many teams in California, and of course a bunch of National League teams.
He went chasing and a pitch down into the dirt. And that's going to do it very quickly for Sandy Leon as he is retired on strikes. Cozart picks up his first K in the book.
It's that breaking ball that you talked about before, down in the dirt. Pretty good downward tilt to that pitch, but it was never a strike.
So Jackie Bradley will be next at 273. He homered his number 23 last night here with 79 runs batted in. It was a 2-run shot for Jackie. His first of the road trip. He also took a pair of walks. Chris Young will follow, and he's been scalding the ball last few days. And Cozart with a 1-0. Cozart has already been traded 3 times. 26 years old, mind you, but Phillies to Houston, Houston to Miami, Miami to San Diego. He's a native Texan.
He's not coming very close to home.
He's gone to 3-0 on Jackie. He pitched in the All-Star Futures game representing the Phillies in 2011. That's the game that showcased Benintendi and Moncada this summer. And that'll be high and wide, and he walks him. So Jackie walks again, 3rd time in 2 games. You can watch the drive to the pennant with MLB.TV Premium. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD and over 400 supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Yankees still on top, 2-0 over Toronto in the bottom of the 7th inning, and they are batting. Young, 272, 8 home runs, and on a tear right now. He's been barreling up just about everything. And another shot down the line. He hooked it toward the corner, and he hooked it too much. Even a foul ball is right on the button.
Just got out in front of a breaking ball. He was looking for it. He liked it. Got so excited he pulled the trigger just a little bit early and pulled it down the line.
Chris, from his pinch hit appearance in game 1 here on Monday, his next 3 at bats went home run, double, home run. He also drove in a run on a fielder's choice yesterday.
Here was the bullet he hit in last night's game. Just a low fastball. He went down there and dug it out. He thought this was going to be a double off the wall, but it skipped right over the fence for a homer.
Mookie always there to help you with the helmet when you hit a big fly. Very kind-hearted. Bradley at first base and 1 down, 1-0 San Diego.
It's a strange thing. Most guys know if they have their helmet on when they come into the dugout, a bunch of guys will pound them on the top of their head. But if they get the helmet off, nobody hits you in the head. It's just kind of a weird magnet. They're going to hit you right on the head if you keep wearing that helmet. So someone will usually say, let's get that thing off.
Cozart with a 1-1. He really takes his time out there. Fouled away again.
Remember when Adrian Beltre was around? He had a rule that nobody ever got to touch his head, and that still stands in Texas.
Travis Shaw on deck. Bradley at first. Red Sox trying to get something started against the very slow working Jared Cozart. Jackie not running, and that's going to be in tight.
Chris Young's been a little bit of a good luck charm. They have won his last 4 starts.
Remember all the controversy and the criticism early in the season when Young would play in games and pinch hit? He wasn't swinging a good bat, granted, at that time. You look back on it, it was really overdone.
Overdone, and there was good reason for it.
Center field. Jankowski back a bit after starting in. Jackie Bradley back to first, and they're 2 away.
Travis Shaw coming to the plate now. Last time we saw him, he was doing major damage, driving in runs with doubles. And a big 3-run home run. Had 5 RBIs in that game. He hasn't played since. It's been 4 days since he was in the lineup.
One thing that has happened since, Yoan Moncada has had trouble locating breaking pitches and has struck out 7 consecutive times over 2 days.
Yep. Now they had to give him a little breather, get him out of there for a little bit, see if he can regroup.
He did really look lost. There's a shot deep to right field. I forgot about it. He strikes again. And the Red Sox have the lead. Travis Shaw crushed it. For a guy who hasn't played much on his road trip, he's having a great trip.
Just crushes the ball when he does get a chance, and that's him saying, hey, don't forget about me. This is a guy who's had 5 RBIs in a game 4 times this season, and you cannot throw him a middle-in fastball like that, little cutter that doesn't cut, and think that you're going to get away with it.
What a beautiful swing.
And a good sound.
So that sends up Mr. Price, who is very grateful after what he just witnessed on that swing. Speedway proud to be New England's first choice for value and convenience. For every Red Sox homer this season, Speedway donates to Boston Children's Hospital. Stop by a Speedway store near you and pick up your free Speedy Rewards card and start earning points today.
And don't look now, but there is some pretty good infighting on this team as far as competition for playing time. Shaw wants to get back in there, you know that. Benintendi's going to be ready very soon. They said that Moncada, they want him playing third base. He hasn't looked that good. Chris Young's in there swinging a hot pad. Where are they all going to play?
That home run went 434 feet. He was out in a hurry. His 16th.
When he hits it, it's pretty much a no-doubter.
Hanley getting some work done on the neck. It's kind of work you don't want done on your neck. Wave and a miss, and down goes Price, and that will retire the side. But Travis Shaw just destroyed one. A 2-run blast, and the Red Sox have the lead 2-1. Park Casino donates $777 to the Relay for Life of Greater Attleboro. Travis Shaw pushing the Red Sox in that direction toward a win with a 2-run blast. He's driven in 7 runs in the 2 games he has started on the trip.
You could score him in a heartbeat with that kind of power.
Yeah, a lot of his tend to be lasers like that, don't they?
Long line drives that just carry right out of the yard.
So Price with a little bit of a lead. As we go to the bottom of the 2nd inning, he takes on Derek Norris here, the catcher, former Oakland A. Brought his beard with him. And Ryan Schimpf and Travis Jankowski are hoping to be household names here in San Diego. They are not yet, as they attempt to build a winner. It may take a little while here.
Schimpf with 17 home runs. He's having a pretty darn good year, hitting just .226, however. He hits those high, long, tall drives into right field.
Get the idea that this ownership group has to be committed to a minor league system and build from there. Successful clubs tend to have that at their disposal. Good young talent, as the Red Sox certainly do.
Well, the problem is they don't really. They have 3 prospects. They have Renfroe down there in AAA. He had 30 homers this year and led the league in RBIs, but they didn't call him up. They just want to let him stay down there.
1-2 popped up. Xander Bogaerts underneath this one. Slightly into left to put it away. So 1 man gone. Let's bring in Garrett Austin.
OB Steve, as you guys have been talking about, it's turn the clock back night here at Petco Park, and the Red Sox are wearing uniforms and hats from the 1936 season to correspond with the Padres celebrating 80 years of professional baseball in San Diego. The San Diego Padres of the Pacific Coast League were a minor league affiliate of the Red Sox and featured a 17-year-old Ted Williams in his first professional season. And guys, Williams was actually born here in San Diego, and I'll have more on that coming up.
Thank you, Gary, very much. As Schimpf takes a ball outside. In fact, we have some video from earlier today. Our producer Jeff Mitchell went out and shot some, as he likes to say, footage or some film.
Shot film, huh?
Of Ted Williams' home.
Shooting film these days is expensive.
Yeah. Not what it is, but he's right out of the 60s. He's been at it a while. But he knows what he's doing, and he went out there and got us some great video of Ted's home. She grew up in here in San Diego.
Had a nice conversation with the guy that owns the house now. Says it could be for sale. He's lived there for 40 years, but it could be for sale.
Yeah. So if you're in the market and you'd like to go after Ted Williams' old house here in San Diego, it might be for sale.
Or it may get swallowed by the vegetation that's around the house right now.
Well, I think it's lovely. A cut and a miss here by Schimpf, who always seems to be going for the home run. Stay with us on this, because we'll get you a really good look at Ted's spot. Garrett mentioned he was 17 years old. He probably weighed about 125 pounds at that age.
And still launching tape measure shots.
Well, Schimpf, a guy with power, he hit his 17th home run last night. He's hit all of those since the 1st of July. Not a big guy, but strong.
If you project those numbers out over the course of a season, you got a guy that's hitting a ton of home runs.
3-2 from Price. That one hooked a little bit foul down the line. 93-mile-an-hour fastball, and he broke his bat.
Well, that pretty much looks like what his game is. He's going to stand right on top of home plate. He's got an extremely small strike zone. And you got to challenge him a little bit, and he's got enough pop to turn it around on you. He's just going to get out in front and try to hook everything to right field.
Aaron Hill doing some swing work under the watchful eye of Stephen Wright. Here's the 3-2 again. And he gets him. He struck him out. Second strikeout for Price.
Good breaking ball right there. Just takes him off again. 85 miles an hour, and just bottom falls out of that thing.
Jankowski will be next as Price looks for 1-2-3 here in the second. 2-1 Boston. Price would love to get this guy and have the pitcher leading off the next inning. Jankowski a bit of a pain in the neck, though. He can drop down a bunt, as he did in game one twice for a single.
He loves to do it against left-handed pitching because lefties tend to fall to the third base side. Price doesn't do that as badly as Pomeranz, however.
Showing a bunt, taking a strike. Shaw was charging in from third.
Jankowski hitting 8th in the lineup today against the lefties. He will continue to lead off, even though John Jay's in the lineup tonight as a leadoff guy. Jankowski will lead off against right-handed pitching.
0-2 foul back. So tomorrow, day off for the Red Sox, but then that big series with Toronto opening up on Friday night. The next two will be day games. Rick Porcello goes on Friday, trying to become a 20-game winner. He is 19-3. Eduardo Rodriguez will go on Saturday, and Clay Buchholz will pitch again on Sunday, coming off a marvelous effort last night. Red Sox and the Blue Jays at the moment tied for first. Here comes the 0-2. He bounced it up there.
So far, one of the best plays we've seen all day is right here. Look at the kid. Great play off of the foul ball.
Love the haircut, too.
What is he, like 9 years old, snagging stuff out of the stands?
That was a confident play.
Yeah, it was.
Like, this one's mine.
Had his glove ready to go.
1-2 in there, and got him looking strike three right at the bottom of the zone at 94. And Price gets him in order. Exclusive David Ortiz headwear, apparel, and memorabilia. Available now at the 47 Big Papi shop on the corner of Yawkey and Arthur's Way. Red Sox have the lead thanks to Travis Shaw, 2-1 as we go to the third. And Pedroia will lead things off. His second at bat tonight. He's 0 for 1 with a grounder to second.
Love the way Petey's been going to the opposite field so often. And those numbers are skyrocketing for him. He understands that every once in a while you have to take a shot at yanking a ball down the left field line, because you keep going the other way. They're going to try to get in your kitchen a little bit.
And making such excellent contact, a really hard man to strike out. Very, very tough to fan over the last month. He's only struck out in the last 29 games 7 times. Bogaerts and Betts to follow. Red Sox in first place on the 7th of September. Last year they were 14 games out on this date and in last place. It's nothing to throw a party over, but it does put in perspective the difference between last year and this year. With a win tonight, the Red Sox will equal their win total from all of last season.
It's worth a little party. Especially knowing that they're headed in the right direction.
You don't take any arm twisting.
Not much.
Into left center field. That's going to drop down for a base hit. The hits just keep on coming for the Red Sox outstanding second baseman. He is 1 for 2 tonight.
It's the best thing about what's been happening with Petey so far is he's squaring up everything. And then when he does get out in front and takes kind of a bad swing, you see how he kept his hands back still. He lost his rear end already. He's lunged out in front of the plate, but his hand's still back, just dumps a ball. So even when he's not squaring it up, he's getting hits.
So he's on to begin the third. Xander Bogaerts now. He walked in the first. Xander 4 for 19 on this road trip. Will he start to get hot again as he looks at ball 1? Mookie Betts to stand up next. DraftKings is the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of the Red Sox. Experience the thrill of playing at DraftKings now. Play free daily using the promo code NESSON at DraftKings.com.
This is really where Bogaerts should think about going the other way.
Instead, a high chop to the shortstop. To Shrimp, that's one. High throw is off the bag, and Bogaerts is going to be safe on what should have been a double play. Red Sox fortunate to have a base runner.
And that's just one of the reasons, because if you try to pull the ball, you end up when you're 6-4-3 double play. That one worked out in the Red Sox favor. They don't turn it over, but there's just so much room on that right side. Second baseman has to sneak over towards second because he's there in case of a double play ball. First baseman's holding Petey on. Make a conscious effort to go the other way there. There's so many hits over there.
Shimp with a poor throw. Of course, no error charge. You cannot assume a double play. Betts 0 for 1. He is flat out to left. They've got in the 9th inning at Yankee Stadium. Yankees trying to put it away. They have a 2-0 lead on Toronto. Flared to right. J.N. to make the catch. So Mookie is 0 for 2. Bogaerts back to first, and Hanley Ramirez will be up next. The training staff was really working at his neck in a way that I don't ever want anyone to touch me.
Well, like chiropractor-ish.
Twisting,
snapping,
prodding,
pulling. Anything else? All of that stuff, though.
Let's see how it works out. He's hit a line shot to left 0 for 1. Came in hitting .284 with 20 home runs. And he looks at a ball. And he's had a nice trip so far. He's driven in 5 runs in 5 games.
I think we talked about this the other night, and I think Hanley does this a lot, and I think with this pitcher he'll do the same thing. Sit on a breaking ball. He wants to see that big looping curveball that this guy's tossing up there.
Hey, that's the final from Yankee Stadium. The Yankees win. They beat Toronto 2-0. So if the Red Sox win tonight, they take sole possession of first place.
Heading to Toronto.
High fly center field. Backing up Jankowski. Still back at the wall. He's there to make the play. And he sent that one for a ride, but caught by the young center fielder right up against the fence. Last half of the third inning, Red Sox in front 2-1, and Jared Cosart, the pitcher, leading things off here against Price, hitting .071, no homers, no RBIs. Although in high school in Texas, he broke Jay Buhner's school record for batting average in his senior year. At Clear Creek High, he hit .506. That was high school.
Do you wonder how it goes so south for pitchers? I know they don't work on it very much, but especially if you're in the National League, you have to. Hit .071 after being the best athlete in your high school.
True of most pitchers. They were the best athlete.
Sure.
I bet you pitched a lot.
I got really good at hitting guys' bats, yes, but decided to play the other positions.
1-2 lashed foul.
Here's the play we were talking about. Hanley gets the breaking ball that he was looking for and just misses it. Takes it to the deepest part of the field. Jankowski's out there to put it away, and then look at Cosart. Oh, he's like, I can't throw that pitch to him again.
Yeah.
Lucked out.
And he's still in the game. There's a base hit to right field. That's his old high school swing.
There you go. Looking hitterish.
This greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Entering tonight's game, David Price. Here are his American League ranks. Number 1 in starts, 3rd in innings, 4th in strikeouts, 7th in Ks per 9, 25 starts with 100 or more pitches, and is tied for the most in the majors with Justin Verlander. So he allows the pitcher to get a base hit. Now John Jay, who is 0 for 1. Padres with 3 hits. And a strike on Jay. You may remember that he appeared against the Red Sox, in fact played every game as a member of the St. Louis Cardinals in the 2013 World Series. And
it's kind of hard to look at him in a uniform other than the Cardinal uniform.
Hit just 167 in that series with no RBIs. My memory is the only guy who hit in that series was named David Ortiz.
Nobody else did.
and hit and hit and hit. What, 688?
Everyone else was about $180.
And I remember thinking, as we were calling the series, well, Mike Matheny at some point is going to start walking. That's going to be blooped into left field down the line. A fair ball. Young will have to pick it up into second base. Cozart. Back-to-back singles here for the San Diego Padres.
That's the big problem when you give a leadoff base hit to your pitcher. That turns the lineup around. Now you're looking at a little bit of trouble with the first two guys. Jay dumps one into left field. You had nobody out, two guys on.
Luis Sardinez, he struck out looking in the first inning.
He's got to be bunting for me.
Shaw at the moment, right at the bag, even with the bag at third.
Sandy Leon out in front of home plate, putting on the plays defensively for the Red Sox and what they will do. Cardenas in this situation should be trying to bunt the ball to the third base side. Make Shaw come in and field it if he's going to bunt.
Power guy on deck and Will Myers, and nobody out. 2-1 Boston. He is showing bunt. Drops it down. A very good one. Leon has to handle it, throw to first, and gets the out. That'll move Cozart and Jay ahead 90 feet. So fine sacrifice by Sardinez.
Did his job right here. Gets it to the left side. You see Hanley Ramirez crashing the play. That's why you don't want to bunt it over to that side. Sandy Leon rounds this thing off. Knows he's got enough time as long as he whips it down there. And they make the play.
Myers is 1 for 1. A base hit. And he scored their run on a double by Solarte in the first inning. So now the Red Sox lead early in this game is in jeopardy. Myers with 24 homers, 76 runs batted in. He really is their big bat. And this Padre lineup. Hard hit foul. Myers has set career highs already in games played, hits, runs, doubles, homers, RBIs.
Good year for him. You look at the way he is up there at the plate, very over anxious. Everything's moving, his bat's wiggling and everything. I think Price is going to say, I'll throw you hard in. I'll let you get out in front of it. Then I'm going to throw you some changeups down and away to make sure you're out in front of it. Let's see the way he works them.
There's a shot into left field, but there's Young to make the play. Tagging up Cozart. Here he comes. And he will score as the throw comes into third base, and that will tie up the ball game. The Myers drives into 77th run with a sacrifice.
Now here's the hard in from Price. 95 inside, gets in on his hands, but not so much so he can get the ball out into the outfield. He gets the sacrifice fly, but he doesn't get the big part of his bat on it.
2 down for Solarte, who has an RBI double. Right now he's got a runner at second base. Solarte over the last 64 games, pretty good bat, hitting about 300 with 14 doubles, 40 RBIs. There was an appeal over there at third base that Cozart may have left early, but it's denied by the umpire, Kerwin Danley. So we're tied up 2-2.
There's a lot of confusion on third base over there on that play. Did he leave early? Who's supposed to catch the ball?
Cut and a miss for strike one.
Travis Shaw is the cutoff man on a play like that, so he's into the infield. Bogarts will come over and cover third base, but he didn't really get there in time, and when the throw was coming in, Bogarts has his back turned to the play and didn't even know the throw was coming. Shaw had to kind of scramble back to third and take it himself.
Line shot. Pedroia will make the play. Not far from second base, but a rough inning for Price. He gives up 2 hits and a run, and we're tied 2-2. on Sox in 2. Sox in 2 brought to you by Jeep. Start your adventure in a Jeep brand vehicle today. This one's all tied up 2-2. Not a great way for David Price to start that inning as he allowed a base hit to his opposing pitcher who would come in to score. So all even as we go to the 4th. Sandy Leon will start it. He struck out on a pitch in the dirt on a swing and a miss in the 2nd. Sandy dropped down an outstanding bunt in the 4th inning last night. That ignited a Red Sox rally, a 3-run rally. Sox would take the lead and win the ball game 5-1.
They're kind of taking that bunt away from him a little bit this time, moving that lone third baseman much closer to the line than he was last night.
He takes a ball.
See where Solarte is now. He was basically playing shortstop in the game last night when Leon said, well, if you're going to give it to me, I'll take it.
He fires away at 93. Again, the scouting report on Cosart is the fastball is a big league pitch. Everything else is below average. The breaking stuff, the changeup. 2-1. Fly to center field. Jankowski with the catch. One man gone, and Sandy Leon is 0 for 2. Tuesday is David Ortiz t-shirt giveaway night at Fenway. First 15,000 fans receive a Big Papi Bling t-shirt courtesy of King's Hawaiian. For tickets and more information, visit redsox.com/promos. David has the big surfboard, which he will carry with him through customs in the wee hours of the morning. I can't wait to get a picture of that as we make our way to Toronto.
Good luck with that.
Jackie Bradley with a walk and a run. He was on base when Shaw ripped the homer. And San Diego has come on back to tie it. Bounding ball softly hit. Myers off first. Safe at first base. He was off the bag. And Cosart a little bit shaken up as he covered at first. Came down awkwardly. Jackie Bradley got there.
Kind of rolled an ankle there, up trying to get up to catch that ball and then come down on the bag. Let's see how it looks. Up.
And that's going to be ruled an error on Myers.
I know they're attending to their player right now, but if they look at the replay here, someone may say we should review this play.
And Brian Knight, first base umpire, said he did not get the bag. Let's take a closer look.
That angle, it looks like he may have got the bag, and if he did, he's out. But
let's see if Cosart can continue. He is down and in some pain. Chris Young looking to hit next. Red Sox 2, San Diego 2.
There's a different angle.
He did not get the bag.
That is a great call by the umpire, because the umpire had that first view. Look at him, he's right there. He's got the tougher view to see whether he touched it or not. Now it's right on top of a play.
Cosart, pretty good athlete to be able to hover over the bag.
Looks like they're reaching behind the knee, like a little bit of a hamstring area back there. I don't know if he cramped or.
Now walking toward the mound. Here's his pitching line. It's brought to you by your Eastern Lexus dealers. 3 1/3. Just 2 hits off him. Although he has walked 2 men. They do have activity in the bullpen. Villanueva has a stylish mustache beginning to loosen.
Well, they'll definitely give him a few warm-up tosses here. If it was a cramp or a little bit of a pull or a hyperextension, anything could be going on back there on the back of that leg.
Looks like they're making the call to the bullpen.
Yes, they are.
So he is done. He is not going to be able to continue. Villanueva was not warming up in their bullpen, so he'll get as many warm-up tosses as is required. And Jared Cosart is out of the ball game. So that'll do it for him. Injured on that play at first base. Myers was charged with an error on it. And we'll be back with more in San Diego, tied up 2-2 right after this. BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. Subaru Retailers of New England. By DraftKings, the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of your Boston Red Sox. Santander Bank, you're all right with Simply Right checking from Santander Bank. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Back in San Diego, tied up 2-2. A pitching injury has forced the starter, Jared Cosart, out for the Padres. So they give the baseball to the right-hander, Carlos Villanueva. Comes out with an ERA over 6. He's given up a total of 35 earned runs in 11 separate outings. He's pitched well, 1 earned run on 12 occasions. So they're not sure what they're going to get. And again, he gets as many warm-up tosses as he needs because he was not in the process of warming up when Cosart went down with the injury at first.
He was just chilling, probably didn't have his spikes on yet.
So the starter went 3 1/3. Does leave behind a runner at first base. Jackie Bradley safe on the plays. Look at the breakdown on Villanueva on what he offers. And if you missed it earlier, the Yankees swept Toronto. Boy, the Yankees hot. And they have pulled to within 3.5 games of first place.
Yes, they have. Out of nowhere.
Tell me that makes a lot of sense given every trade they made with their bullpen.
Well, they brought up some good young players too.
So the Yankees very much in it. Showing a bunt young, but he'll take a strike. Chris 0 for 1. He is fly to center.
Red Sox have now been in back-to-back cities on this road trip where they've seen a pitcher who's sporting a handlebar mustache.
Becoming a little bit more common these days.
Saw Mr. Mengden in Oakland going after the Raleigh fingers look.
And now Villanueva. His is the bad guy version.
Yeah.
In black here.
Snidely whiplash.
Yes. The villain.
And he's got the black hat to match. There's some good mustache wax on that. Oh, we got more.
And again, Bradley back in, standing. I would not have envisioned at the trade deadline that the Yankees and the Red Sox would be playing games that will go a long way to deciding who wins the division between the Yankees and the Red Sox. And it's the Yankee part of it that you wouldn't have bet on at that point. Line shot, base hit. So Young is on again. Another line drive for him. Bradley into second. That's going to be the case come next week. Time for a game break, brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. Here's TC. All right, TC, so thank you very much. Up to the moment now, the standings, the Yankees 4 games back, pending the outcome of this one. Red Sox trying to take sole possession of first place. And Shaw, the batter again. First time up, he tore into a 2-run homer. And we are tied up 2-2 with 2 aboard. And 1 man out. Quickly into the stands by Travis, back to his home run.
This ball was a laser beam hit out of here in a heartbeat. Just a bad cut fastball. Didn't do a thing. Hit it up there. The man caught it. Gave it to Captain America.
As he should.
If that was his son, the father should be so happy that he actually caught that ball. That was a bullet hit into the seats. He just barehanded it and then gave it to Captain America.
Delighted that my son is a superhero to start with.
It doesn't even hurt my hands because he is.
Orioles lost today 7-6 to Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay and the Yankees playing some pretty good baseball.
It's going to be some race the rest of September. Already is. Ground ball toward the hole and a base hit. Jackie going to third, going to be waved in. The throw will come to second. Now into third, right by everybody, and the run scores. And the Red Sox have the lead back, and Travis Shaw keeps on hitting.
Now, this is a great move by John Farrell to get Travis Shaw back into the lineup. It may have been facilitated because Moncada hasn't done anything and struck out 7 times in a row. But this guy wants another opportunity, does not want to be a forgotten man, and he's even said, I'll go play left field if you need me to. 3 RBIs today.
And 5 on Friday night in Oakland. So the Red Sox lead at 3-2.
He's got plenty of chances to get 5 tonight, maybe.
David Price is 0 for 1 with a strikeout. It's now even at 4 apiece. Showing a bunt and flicks it foul into the net for strike 1.
It's one of those situations where, especially in National League games, even when there is 1 out, the pitcher's going to go up there and drop a bunt down just to move the runners up. David needs to square around a little earlier. If everybody in the house knows you're going to bunt, it's not a big deal to square around too early to make sure you get it down.
Villanueva fires, he turns again and looks at a strike. Join Nesson on Friday, September 16th for an introspective look at Big Papi's extraordinary career. David Ortiz, The Journey, presented by Foxwoods Resort Casino. A Nesson special featuring exclusive commentary from Big Papi himself. Don't miss the premiere of David Ortiz, The Journey, 10 p.m. on Friday, September 16th. David was tremendous in the taping of that special. A lot of great stories. Here comes the 0-2, and he pops a foul out of play. Dustin Pedroia on deck.
Our very own Tom Caron sat down to do that interview. Obviously, Tom Caron been around this organization for so many years, and for all of the years with Big Papi.
And he drew a lot of wonderful stuff out of David, who always gives very thoughtful answers. An error, 2 singles. Red Sox back on the board looking for more here. Price behind in the count 0-2. And down he goes, strike 3. So 2 away, back up to the top of the order now, Dustin Pedroia, who's gone 1 for 2 with a single.
May sound a little strange, but sometimes when the pitcher's up there in that situation, it's almost better he strikes out.
Turn over that lineup.
And if he puts the ball in play, it might be a double play. You're out of the inning. Just get Dustin up there and let him see if he can do some damage with 2 outs.
Typically, he swings the bat very well against San Diego. 11 games against the Padres, about a .340 career average. He's single in the 3rd inning. Runners go. Both of them go, and it's in there for a strike. No throw. A double steal. Young down to 3rd.
So give Price the sacrifice anyway then. Look at the jump. Nobody paying attention at all. Well, that just can't happen in a game like this, whether you're a good, bad, or indifferent organization.
The Red Sox continue to be very aggressive on the bases, though. It was a theme earlier in the season. It's coming back a little bit here.
Aggressive base running. Yep. Take some chances.
0-1. He won't chase the pitch in the dirt. Base hit could mean 2 more runs. Shaw, the man, is 2nd. Young at 3rd.
Young realized how far the middle infielders were playing away from him. Nobody paying attention, and give Shaw credit too for being heads up to watch the guy in front of him. He moved up as well.
You don't believe a sign was put on?
I don't think so. I think that was all on Young. I think you saw the huge jump that he got there. I think he just said, man, no one's paying attention to me. Why can't I take it? Because I doubt they would just be stealing with 2 outs.
Villanueva from the belt. Here comes the 1-1. That drifted outside.
You know, that's one of those things, Dave, where you say if you're going to try to steal 3rd base with 2 outs, you darn sure better be safe. Look at the jump he's going to get. Goodness. And Shaw right there with him. Boy, that would pay off huge. Base hit from Pedroia.
2-1 and a bullet down the line. He hooked it toward the wall. That takes a bounce up against the fence and brings in 2 runs. He hit the daylights out of it. 60 RBIs for Pedroia. Just flat out one of the hottest guys in the big leagues right now. The Red Sox lead it 5-2.
Remember, we talked about how smart Pedroia is. He's been going the other way the entire series, the entire road trip. So he knows they're going to try to get in every once in a while. This is a little hanging breaking ball in the inner half. He just sits on it and then drills it to left field. About 10 feet from getting out of here.
He's 2 for 3. Last night I said, well, another multi-hit game for Dustin Pedroia, and you said
every night.
Red Sox closing in on sole possession of first place in the American League East. Still early in this one, but now on top 5-2. Travis Shaw has driven in 3, scored twice, stolen a base, homered, and he's only been up to the plate twice in this one. The 0-1. Bogarts with a check swing.
And you look where a lot of the action is coming from. Again, the back half of that order. Bradley has scored 2 runs. Young has scored once. Travis Shaw scored twice. Keep that lineup moving.
Mookie Betts on deck. Pedroia at 2nd. Fly to center field. Jankowski with a late start coming on. He'll run it down to make the play. He went the wrong way initially. Red Sox going the right way. They grabbed 3 more runs and now lead at 5-2. Bottom of the 4th inning, Red Sox ahead 5-2, and we'll see if Price settles in here. Last inning, he allowed a couple of hits and a run. Red Sox keep on scoring for him, however. Taking on Dickerson here, who's 0 for 1 with a tapper to third base. First time he had ever faced the left-hander. And the 0-1, a bullet into right field for a base hit. So Dickerson now 1 for 2. Hits keep on coming for San Diego. Time for our twisted but true fact. There are 3 Red Sox hitters on pace for 198 or more hits. Betts, Pedroia, and Bogarts. No Boston team has ever had 3 players with 200 or more in the same season. Twisted tea, the hard iced tea that tastes like real iced tea. Be a little twisted. It would be some accomplishment to have that trio reach 200 hits. Look at Altuve out in front at 189, and 5 more than Betts, and now Pedroia with 176. 2 more tonight. Pedroia has gotten there once in his career, his MVP year.
213 hits that season in 08. Well, you look at what everybody has done on this team when you talk about Ortiz and Betts and the MVP consideration. Mike Shalin writes a little bit about why not consider Pedroia. His numbers are every bit as good as his MVP season in 2008.
And I think doing it now when the games matter more than they have all year, these crucial games.
11-game hitting streak, or 11 straight hits in the games.
Yeah, perhaps a wise move to kind of wait until the season's over before you anoint someone an MVP, because the way Pedroia is going, look at the games coming up with Toronto, Baltimore, the Yankees, not to mention Tampa Bay. The rest of the way, it's division opponents beginning on Friday against the Blue Jays. And he is the hottest hitter around right now. Frankly, playing great defensively as well.
Every year.
Eric Norris 0 for 1. He's popped to short. Fly ball gently hit. Betts in.
That's the advantage of Mookie Betts, who knows he can go back on the ball so well, to use his speed to go on deep drives hit over his head. He plays a shallow right field. That becomes an easy play. This is a base hit for a lot of guys because right fielders play so deep. Look where he's playing. He's able to come in and make this play easily. Pitchers love it when outfielders catch balls that are in front of them. They hate those jam shots to dump in for base hits in front of their outfielders.
Ryan Schimpf 0 for 1. He whiffed in the second. So far tonight, 3 strikeouts for Price. Price trailing only Chris Sale in most starts of 8 innings or more in the majors. Price has done it 9 times. Sale's done it 11 times. 0-2. Don't miss WB Mason Extra Innings Live right after the game. TC and Jim Rice break it all down. You'll hear from David Price and John Farrell. Whatever, whenever, wherever. Who but WB Mason? Padres with a base runner, Dickerson, who singled. Oh, 2, and it's in there for strike 3, right at the top of the zone at 93, and Price got the call.
This has been a good weapon for Price. We've seen it definitely in the second half. Fastballs up in the zone, just 4 seamers. Don't worry about it. Let me throw it 93 right by you upstairs. If you swing, you miss it. If you don't swing, it may be a strike.
So here's Jankowski, who I think works with the same barber who takes care of Josh Reddick.
Which is no barber?
I think you got to get a cut every once in a while. Keep it looking like that. He's going to take ball 1. He has a chance to be a really good everyday player, don't you think?
Yes, he does. He's one of their better prospects in the organization. He's been compared to Steve Finley out in the outfield. It's a nice comparison. He's got excellent speed, 30 stolen bases already.
The 1-0. Little dribbler. Price will handle this and quickly get rid of it. And that'll retire the side. He pitches around a leadoff single. Model last game bat is available for $129.95. A unique keepsake, limited only 5,000 bats. So call Big Time Bats at 866-280-BATS or go to BigTimeBats.com right now. Top of the fifth inning, Red Sox up. Mookie Betts, the batter, looking at a strike. 5-2. The Sox have the lead. Mookie's gone 0 for 2. He's flied out to left and to right. Started play tonight in the American League's top 10 in hits, runs, batting average, slugging percentage, OPS and doubles, extra base hits, RBIs, and stolen bases.
I knew that list would take a while.
He is all over those top 10s. A strike.
Mookie looking for something middle in right here.
30 home runs for him. That'll hang up, and a right fielder Jay there for the catch. Really fine outfielder, not tested there. Earlier today, pregame ceremony here in San Diego. They did a great job on this. And with all the Red Sox fans, frankly, it felt like an evening at Fenway Park. And that's the gift from the Padres. Well, their all-time greats, Trevor Hoffman there.
Mark Loretta as well down on the field.
Hanley 0 for 2. He has lined to left and flied to center.
You got to think Trevor Hoffman had something to do with that surfboard, because that's all he does anymore. Surfs out there with his kids.
Saw him all tanned up there. Remember coming to games when he was pitching and they had really good clubs, and coming out here to do national games. The guy you would see, the solitary figure, running around the warning track over and over, sweat just pouring off him. This was on game day. It was Trevor Hoffman in phenomenal shape.
Yeah, his body fat's about 0.
And that was to face 3 batters. And he got them all out.
Always.
All the time, year after year after year. One of the all-time greats. He's, Hall of Famer in my book. There's a shot to left center field. Jankowski back there to make the play on the warning track. That's happened to Hanley a couple of times tonight.
Well, Hanley's been all over it. He's been a really smart hitter. He squared up that breaking ball, and now so he figured, hey, you hit the breaking ball, so maybe we should try to throw you a fastball. We throw you the fastball, you crush that one too. He just hasn't been able to quite get enough of it to get it out of the ballpark.
He is 0 for 3. Sandy Leon is 0 for 2. He has struck out and fly to center. Sandy's been enjoying these interleague games since he came to the Red Sox. He's played in 13 interleague games. He's hitting .351. It's Dustin Pedroia territory against the National League. He'll take ball one. Sox ahead 5-2 in the 5th. Jared Cosart, their starter, had to leave because of injury after stumbling on a play covering first base. So they brought in Villanueva to pitch several innings. And he's run very hot and cold this season. 1-1 is up top. To win here tonight, the Red Sox would improve to 37-31 on the road. Swing and a miss by Sandy. 2-2. He could not locate the changeup.
San Diego has used off-speed pitches and changeups to Sandy Leon pretty effectively in this series.
Ground ball to the shift. Schimpf from right field. Side retires. 1-2-3 they go. 5-2 Red Sox. Will preview the Red Sox pivotal series against the Toronto Blue Jays coming up on Friday. Cannot wait for that.
Oh,
it's going to be bedlam up there in Toronto.
They will pack the house up there the way they did last season and the way they used to do in the early 90s when that team was winning world titles.
Here's Adam Rosales. He will hit in the pitcher spots. He will bat for Villanueva. Hit a home run in game 1, which proved to be the difference in the game. Wearing that number 9. As mentioned, these are throwback uniforms. the 80-year anniversary for the Padres, beginning play in the Pacific Coast League in the legendary Ted Williams. The 1936 PCL jerseys. Quackenbush starting to throw in their bullpen. Red Sox wearing throwbacks from the same time period tonight.
Told you in the first game of this series that Rosales is actually a minor league roommate of the manager here in San Diego, Andy Green.
Guaranteeing him as much playing time as he wants. Bruins season tickets go on sale tomorrow at 11 a.m. To purchase yours, go to bostonbruins.com/tickets.
Imagine Green going into the GM saying, hey, come on, I think we should sign this guy. Who is he? He's my roomie. Come on.
My boy.
He's done a nice job for this team. He's provided a lot of energy. He'll play anywhere for you.
In there, and he'll take a seat. He strikes out looking. Let's get down to Guerin.
Well, guys, as we mentioned, Ted Williams was born in San Diego in 1918, and his childhood home is only about 15 minutes from Petco Park. The Williams family moved into this home in 1924, where he grew up, and he actually went back to the house in 1992 when he was in town for the All-Star game. About 2 blocks from that home is North Park Community Park, where Williams grew up playing ball, and now the field is named after him. Guys?
Garrett, thank you very much. A swing and a ground ball to the second baseman, Pedroia. And Jay is retired. He has gone 1 for 3 tonight.
You know what Ted's house would cost you if you wanted to buy it today? More than $500,000.
Yeah. Ted was hitting .413 on this date in 1941, by the way, after going 3 for 4 against the Yankees. On base percentage of .559.
What?
OPS over 1,300. This date in 1941.
It's not like 2 weeks into the season.
Oh. Unbelievable.
559.
Sardinius with the bases empty.
Saw some more pictures of the Ted Williams field.
Softly hit, picked by Pedroia, and a fast inning for Price. He gets him in order. Red Sox up 5-2. Honoring the 1986 Red Sox in game number 139. The Red Sox would lose to the Orioles 8-6. Bill Buckner homered twice, and he drove in 3 runs for the Red Sox in a losing cause. Rosales will take over at shortstop. And Quackenbush is the new pitcher. Kevin Quackenbush, the right-hander, got his first save of the season on August 27th against Miami. First one in a couple of years. Comes out at 7-5 with a 3.88 ERA. And we'll take on Jackie Bradley. Jackie in this one with a walk, and he's reached on an error, and each time he's been on base he has scored. And the 1-0 is up high. Chris Young on deck. Travis Shaw, who is cooking and has driven in 3 more runs tonight with another home run and a single. He's going to follow. In for a strike.
Peter Abraham tweets out tonight that the Red Sox, because of John Farrell, says they can all wear their favorite team's jersey on the flight to Toronto tonight.
Any sport?
Any sport, any jersey. Obviously, the team generally travels in suit and tie. Long trip with an off day in Toronto for tomorrow. John Farrell said to let them have a little fun.
Yeah, right out of the Madden playbook.
Yep.
Joe Madden does that with all his teams. He did it at Tampa Bay. He's done pajama night, travel night,
Hawaiian night,
tuxedo night. And the Red Sox going their favorite sports team jerseys. That's going to be interesting to see with some of these guys.
So many of them have such multi-sport interests.
Hard hit, but snagged by Schimpf, and he'll get him at first base. So Jackie Bradley retired for 3.
And when you hit a ball like that and you look up, you know it's a base hit, and then you forget that they've got that shift on you, and you're just getting nothing.
Schimpf in the shift.
In the shift, you love it. Look at it. I mean, you hit that, man. Oh, it's nice. I got it right into that. Oh, wait a minute. Where did that guy come from? Got to go the other way.
Chris Young now, he's flied out and singled and stolen a base as part of a double steal. 5-2. Red Sox have the lead in the 6th. Some have suggested, and it's actually been seriously debated, that baseball should do away with the shift, make it illegal to do that.
What do you think?
I don't like that idea. I don't think it's ever going to catch hold in any serious way. I know the commissioner has suggested it. That's up and in, sending him down on a knee and barely avoiding the pitch.
That almost got Young in the ear flap, it looked like. Whoa, jeez. That'll scare you, tad. Got to be able to jump right back in there and dig in.
I think you got to let defenses play where the team wants them to play, where the data says they should be shifting. I'm fine with it. I know it's taken away a lot of hits over the years.
Too bad. Learn how to hit the other way then. You're right. I mean, if I can defense you in a way that I can get you out more times than not, who are you to tell me I can't do it? But I got a pitcher with a nasty slider. You're going to tell me you can't throw it anymore because he gets you out all the time?
Shake swing, but he held it.
And how far does that stuff go?
Some teams take it right to the point of being ridiculous. You know, the Dodgers have that laser spotting where guys are supposed to go using a laser beam, another one inside. Some teams have actually adopted that. You know, they start with a point where they point that thing in the outfield, and from that position they move to where they're supposed to go according to what the data tells them where a hitter's hitting. But that's going a little too far. 3-2 into left field. Dickerson backing up to make the catch, and they're 2 away. Frozen Fenway returns to Boston in January of 2017. Fans can enjoy 2 exciting outdoor Hockey East doubleheaders January 7th and 14th. Tickets on sale now. Visit redsox.com/frozenfenway for more information.
Can't the outfield coach just kind of stand up on the top step and say, hey, move over a couple steps to your right. You'll be right where we want you.
Travis Shaw now 2-run homer and an RBI single. He has caught fire again. In for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike on Travis Shaw with David Price on deck.
Travis Shaw hadn't played in 4 days, and he steps up there today looking kind of locked in, don't you think? Hit a laser beam homer. Another base hit.
Moncada sitting in this one, the 1-1.
I think Moncada made the decision for John Farrell a lot easier to put Shaw in at third base. There was some question as to where he would play. Either third or left field might make a start. Talked to Shaw about it before today. He said, I was looking forward to it.
High fly, but foul. Did make an appearance last year in the outfield briefly. But John Farrell was talking about starting him out there in left field. And then Moncada started to look very confused against Major League breaking pitches. Shaw's back in there tonight, and he has delivered. Foul back.
Right about the time Moncada was thinking about kind of trying to time his swing to a breaking pitch. He took a couple fastballs that were pretty hittable and didn't hit those either. Everybody gets lost every once in a while, and he's in a little bit of a tailspin right now.
2-2 on the way. And a full count. The word on Jared Cosart, the starter for San Diego, had to leave in the 4th inning. A strained right hamstring and a strained right groin. 2 injuries on 1 play. Trying to cover first base. 3-2, and he missed with it. That is downstairs, ball 4. So Shaw is on base for the 3rd time tonight. And the Red Sox have a man on with 2 away. Tonight, after Red Sox coverage on NESN Sports Today, we hear from Pats quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo and also a preview of Bruins camp. NESN Sports Today, presented by People's United Bank. Closer and closer to NFL opening day.
Oh my gosh. You ready?
I am. Watched a lot of college football this past weekend. As it's in there for a strike on Price, who has struck out twice. How about that Texas Notre Dame game? Did you catch any of that?
Some of it. Just wild.
The ending was absurd.
There's no defense in college football, is there?
Well, that was a great football game. I know there were a lot of points. But that was a blast to watch. There were a lot of them this weekend.
And I get so wrapped up, especially this year, in the Red Sox and what they're doing, coming down the stretch, playing divisional games that matter. They're in first place. I'll forget that it's Sunday.
I do not.
I just want to get to the next baseball game.
0-2, and got a piece of that and flicked it foul to hang in there. Red Sox ahead here 5-2. I think you're allowed to do both, Steve. I think you can follow everything to do with the Red Sox. You know, carve out room in your day. That'll be your morning up until about noon. And don't be afraid to tune in a little NFL in the afternoon.
Noon? What are you talking about? Game starts at 1. We're here 3 hours before.
Trickle foul again.
Yeah, I know what you're going to be doing. We'll be right here. We'll be watching the game just like you did tonight. The Yankee game will be up here behind us. We'll be watching that. And then over here will be the NFL. Whoever you want to watch on the NFL will be a different TV back there. You can do it that way?
I like your plan. Yeah. You've got it mapped out. That's perfect. Sign me up for that. Swing and a miss. He strikes out for the 3rd time. 1 man left. Red Sox up 5-2 in the 6th. You buy Ace ticket. He is so far at 5 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. And will attack the 3, 4, and 5 part of their batting order here in the 6th. Red Sox ahead 5-2. Hits are dead even at 5 apiece. Price bidding for his 15th win of the season here tonight. Coming off a win at Oakland in which he went 7, allowing 4 hits, 2 runs, and struck out 7. Myers has singled. He's driven in a run with a sacrifice as well. And the first one high and wide for ball 1. Look at Myers. He's got a lot in the facial resemblance, as you mentioned the other day, to Dale Murphy.
Tall, lanky.
And a little bit of Aaron Boone, I would say. I think he could really emerge as an everyday star kind of player. Has a shot at 30 home runs this season. He's in there for a called strike at 91, right on the black.
Talked about it before too. He's got a career high in stolen bases with 25. Padres have never had a 30-30 guy.
1-2 is going to be in there for strike 3. He snuck it over the corner to freeze him. 1 man gone. Attention, Red Sox Nation, is a reason why the Boston Red Sox and the rest of America run on Dunkin'. Dunkin's iced coffee, consistently smooth and delicious. Dunkin' iced coffee, the #1 coffee in New England. The Boston Red Sox run on Dunkin'. 1 away for Solarte, who has doubled in a run and lined to second. Off balance, nearly lost his footing on a big swing and a miss for strike 1.
Remember how we told you he just loves to wail away on the first pitch.
He's taken a couple of pitches in the series high and tight, and we have heard him yelp as he dropped the bat. It's happened twice. He's interesting to watch swing at 15 home runs, 59 runs batted in, so he's done some damage this year. Been a good hitter with runners in scoring position, but right now has the bases empty.
He's one of the guys that think he'll be around for a few years in this organization, someone to build on.
1-2. Six strikeouts for Price so far tonight. He made 6 starts in August, losing just 1 time. That was to the Dodgers in LA. Waved at and missed. A changeup gets him. He's number 7.
Changeup has been effective as usual for Price. Look at him really sell that with the arm action. Looks like he's coming at you so hard with a fastball. The ball just never gets to you there, and you're way out in front.
Dickerson now 1 for 2 with a base hit. Red Sox 5, San Diego 2, 6th inning. Chop backing up. Hanley Ramirez to feed the pitcher in plenty of time. Another smooth inning for Price. 1, 2, 3 they go. Red Sox up by 3 runs. weekdays at 5:30. Get the latest on your favorite New England sports teams. NESN Live, presented by Cross Insurance. To the 7th inning, and Dustin Pedroia in search of his 3rd hit tonight. Yet again, he has singled. He's also doubled in a pair of runs, 2 for 3, and has now hit safely in 13 of his last 14. Pedroia has been doing something very difficult to do at this point of the season. Here in September, he's actually driving up the batting average, and pretty seriously, over the last several weeks.
So hard to do at this point in the season, because usually if you get a hit at this time with that many at bats, at the point it usually goes up about 2 points. If you don't get a hit, it drops down 1.
He looks at the ball. Bogart's on deck. Mookie Betts after him. And if anybody reaches, Hanley Ramirez. Another night off for Big Papi. Last night, despite the crowd chanting for David Ortiz to appear, a little trickler. Here comes Solarte. The glove, fire and get him. David Ortiz remained on the bench. Now, David doesn't hit in tonight's game, and you wonder if John Farrell may get him in just because there's another day off tomorrow. It's day off tomorrow before that series begins in Toronto.
That's really what I was thinking last night, is that he would get an at bat just to keep moving around, just to get him to the plate, let him see the ball. David doesn't want 4 days off of sitting around.
There's some ovation he got here in San Diego. You would have, if you had closed your eyes, you would have sworn you were in Fenway Park.
Monday night, Labor Day. Look at this.
David with a man on. Red Sox down a run. He flied out to center field to end the ball game, but a giant ovation.
Talking hitting right there, helping out Shaw.
They're pretty close, those two. Travis Shaw gave Big Papi a lot of credit. That was fouled back by Bogarts. What he told him after last season ended, he said, you need to prepare for the 2016 season like you're going to play every day. Get ready to be the everyday third baseman. You need to go charging into spring training believing that and winning that job, and that's exactly what he did.
Good advice.
1-2 high and tight. Bat goes flying out of the hands of Xander Bogaerts.
That's the second time now. Chris Young and now Xander with the ball right up around their head. It's nothing a first place team wants to see out of a team that's going nowhere. You need 15 seconds to collect yourself in the batter's box after something like that.
Get dressed again.
Yes.
2-2 will drift away. Bogart's a walk. He's hit into a fielder's choice and he's flying to center. So now 4 for 21 on the trip. Mookie Betts without a hit tonight. Sox only have 5, but they have 5 runs. Three-2. Popped into right field. Myers, Schimpf, and Jay is there. Final season, David Ortiz still one of the top hitters. You can receive free text alerts every time he's coming up to bat. Just text Poppy to 536-536. All made possible by buyatoyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Message and data rates may apply. Maybe tonight.
I hope.
For now, a free evening for David. Here's Mookie Betts. He's flied to left, flied to right, flied to right again. 0 for 3. Sox with a long night of flying ahead, which will be a whole lot nicer and more comfortable with a victory here. Could be flying into Toronto in sole possession of first.
Hookie's seen a changeup and now a breaking ball. You might think he's sitting on a fastball, hoping middle in, see what he gets. We know what he does with middle in fastballs.
Number 3 hitter tonight, Hanley Ramirez, the cleanup man. This part of the order, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, all hitless in this one. Now goes to 3-1. The Red Sox, their 19th and final game on the coast in the Pacific time zone. They're 9-9 in that time zone. Second baseman Schimpf looking up. He's calling for it. And the Red Sox will go very quietly here in the 7th. They have a 5-2 lead here in the middle of the 7th in San Diego. By Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Red Sox on top 5-2. Our game summary brought to you by Xfinity. Price so far through 6 has allowed 5 hits and 2 earned. Shaw 2 for 2, 3 RBIs, another home run for Travis. Pedroia has 2 hits and 2 RBIs with that double. And Price to go after it in his 7th inning. It's Norris, Schimpf, and Jankowski. With a pop up to short, a fly to right. He was traded here before the 2015 season from the Oakland A's. Last year hitting 14 home runs for San Diego. Kind of a half line drive, and that'll be hauled out of the air by Young. So 1 man out in the bottom of the 7th. Friday at 6, don't miss Red Sox first pitch, presented by Joseph Abboud, available at Men's Warehouse. TC and Dennis Eckersley have an update on the American League playoff races. It is shaping up to be some race. Red Sox tonight can take a full game lead over Toronto. Baltimore lost earlier today. The Yankees are red hot. They've won 4 straight. They just swept the Blue Jays. And Tampa Bay always sticky. Standings at the moment.
Those are the 3 teams that everybody expected. The Yankees not too far behind.
Yankees getting a lot of production out of some exciting young talent. As Jake Smith throws in the bullpen. Price looking to get through at least 7 again. Pitch count at 82, so very good shape. 0-2 on Schimpf. Schimpf, a rookie, tied for 3rd among all major league rookies this season. Jumbo Schimpf.
An oxymoron.
17 homers. Tied for 3rd among all major league rookies this season in home runs by Trevor Story, who has 27, and Corey Seager has 24. Price looking for the strikeout, trying to get this guy for the 3rd time. Got a piece of it.
Well, he does strike out a bunch.
Ace Ticket is Boston's trusted source for Red Sox tickets. The best seats at the lowest prices, from bleachers to boxes. Visit aceticket.com or call 1-800-MY-SEATS.
The Sunday game before this series started, Schimpf struck out 4 times in that game.
Here's the 1-2. Chopper foul. So far tonight, 7 strikeouts for Price. He leads the American League with 7 double-digit strikeout efforts, but oddly, he has not recorded one since the 10th of July, when he put up 3 consecutive 10 strikeout games in a row. And lately, it's been more about contact.
Yep. He's pitched better. Strikeouts take a lot of pitches to do. You can see the MO here with Schimpf. Up on top of the plate, just looking to hook everything Price throws up there. Price doesn't bounce a lot of them, but it's a good time maybe to bounce a breaking ball down and away and see if he chases that.
Tonight, the left-hander trying to make it 6 consecutive wins for himself. 1-2. Fouled again. Class is still in session for the 21-year-old Moncada. Picking the brain of a great hitter. One-two again. Fly to the right center field, hit well. Jackie Bradley is not going to get it. It's on the running track off the fence. Schimpf to second base with a stand-up double.
It's kind of surprising, Dave, there. Just had 3 opportunities with 2 strikes to really bury a breaking ball down and away. They never did it once. Even Sandy Leon really didn't set up away. You can see here he set up inside with that fastball. That leaked out over the middle of the plate. That's why it was hit hard. Seems like Price does have that wipeout pitch down and away from a lefty like that. It seemed like the perfect opportunity to throw it.
So the Padres with their first hit since the 4th inning. Brings up Jankowski, a strikeout victim. He's also grounded to the pitcher. Gonzalez on deck. 5-2 Boston. And he'll take a strike. Red Sox will be delighted to be heading back east. They have flown a lot of miles since the All-Star break.
Wow.
On the infield, here comes Shaw to glove it. From the left of the mound, he gets him at first base. Schimpf down to 3rd, but now 2 away. On the next episode of Charlie Moore Outdoors, Charlie heads to Cape Cod to go fishing with Hanley Ramirez. They get a surprise visit from Boston Mayor Marty Walsh. Catch all the fun on Friday night at 11:30 right here on NESN. You looked intrigued when I read that.
That's a boat I want to be in. Hanley fishing.
with the mayor.
Indeed.
And Charlie.
Sounds like fun.
Rosales struck out looking his first time up. That was in the 5th inning when he entered the game. 2 down, a runner at third base for the Padres here in the 7th. Started with a change.
Dave talked so much about the road trips that this team has had and the fact that they've come back out here west almost 2 times in a month. Going back home, you say they'll be great to get back east, but they still have another 11-game trip in the East. At least they stay within the East and play within the division, but they are on the road again for 11 more.
Although I think it makes a world of difference that it's all East Coast.
Still
Barnes
tough
getting going in the
matchups.
bullpen. Well, yeah, it's Baltimore, Tampa Bay, and the Yankees. There's an off day in there. But staying on the East Coast time zone. That trip will begin on the 19th of September after the final long road trip or long homestand of the year for the Red Sox. Pop foul, that'll go out of play. Red Sox will not come home until the 12th of September, but that'll be 3 against the Orioles and then 4 against the red hot Yankees.
Big hitter right here for Price. He doesn't want to make this score any tighter than it is right now. He's got him in a deep hole right here. Doesn't have to throw him too many strikes from here on out.
The 0-2 to Rosales. He spoiled that one.
It's fun to play games and guess a little bit along with the pitcher and catcher. He went down and away from Rosales there. One of the pitches that's been very effective for Price in today's game is the fastball up in the zone, up above the belt. See if you can get a guy to chase up there. Looks like he's coming in with a fastball.
Schimpf at third and a pitch. That missed in tight, 94 miles an hour. Price attacking in on the hands, but he missed.
See what Sandy thinks now. One of his best pitches, the changeup.
1-2 to Rosales. Grounded foul. So he had him out front on a changeup. John Jay would hit next if given the opportunity here for San Diego. Red Sox leading 5-2 7th inning. Blue Jays lost again to the Yankees. Baltimore also fell to Tampa Bay. Price thinking strikeout here. This would be his 8th if he can put away Rosales with this pitch. And he does with a changeup. Swing and a miss, strike 3. A runner held at third, 5-2 Boston. brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. And by Digital Federal Credit Union. See what DCU can save you. Sox had 5-2. Low hit game here. In fact, San Diego has the hit lead 6-5. We move on to the 8th inning. Red Sox trying to take 2 out of 3 here. It'll be Jake Smith entering the fray. Yet another high earned run average for a Padre pitcher at 5.67. They had to go to a slew of relievers because Cozart, their starter, only lasted 3 1/3, exiting because of 2 different injuries, a hamstring and a groin.
The starters for the Padres don't last long, it seems. A lot of guys don't get out of the 5th, and then when you get hurt, you don't get out of it either, and you have to get into that pen. Good thing the rosters have been expanded.
Hanley Ramirez 0 for 3 tonight, although he's hit the ball deep twice. He's taken Jankowski deep to center field, both in the 3rd and in the 5th. He's also lined out hard to left field, so he's had some good swings tonight with nothing to show for it yet. That one tagged into left field, racing back Dickerson all the way to the wall, leaping, and that ball is out of here. Home run, and finally Hanley got one no one could catch for number 21. That extends the Red Sox lead to 6-2.
He has had such smart at-bats today. And he finally got rewarded for one. He's sitting on breaking balls early. He got them. Then he realized that they were going to start throwing fastballs, and he finally got one of those. Could you imagine if Dickerson got up high enough to rob him on this one? Ooh.
That was the first major league pitch that Smith had ever thrown, and it's gone.
Ouch.
What a way to start it. So Hanley with number 21 and 90 runs batted in. Welcome to the show.
No, thank you.
Sandy 0 for 3, struck out, fly to center, and grounded to second.
We were going to do a little pitch sequence on Hanley in that at bat just to show you what he was doing, what he was looking for. He didn't give us a chance.
6-2 Sox here. And a 1-1 will be outside on Leon. Jackie Bradley, the on-deck hitter.
You know, when you get to the big leagues, when you're an everyday player, they ask you, who did you get your first hit off of? Usually the pitchers, they say, who did you strike out first? They don't say, who was the first hitter you ever faced?
That one ripped down the line, but foul. Back toward the ball attendant.
So hopefully they won't be asking him who was the first hitter he ever faced. They'll say, hey, who was the first guy you struck out?
Sandy Leon hoping he is not the answer to that one. Sandy did strike out in the 2nd inning. 0 for 3. He's hitting .333 against right-handers, .397 against lefties. Started the night overall .352. Toward the alley, on the move, Jankowski. It's going to drop in. Nobody made the play. The center fielder did not take charge on that ball. Bit of a gift hit for Sandy Leon. He is on in the 8th inning. He'll take it.
You know, that's Jankowski's fault, but I can understand why it happened. The guy who takes charge should cut in front of the guy who's not taking charge. He should go around behind. But because Dickerson came in front of Jankowski, he had to back off almost like, hey, are you going to come in and get this ball? So an odd play there. Jankowski could have avoided that maybe by making sure that everyone in the house knew that he was going to catch it.
Well, that's his job.
Yes.
Center fielder has to take command of the outfield. He didn't do it there. It's a young outfielder not taking control. Jackie Bradley now. He has walked. He's reached on an error, and he's grounded to second. He scored 2 runs tonight. That is Koji Uehara now warming up alongside Tazawa in the Red Sox bullpen. That's a sight we have not seen in a while. But Koji is healthy again. He has pronounced himself 100%. Ready to get back into the fold. We'll see what he has left, Steve. At his age, and with all those innings on that arm, Red Sox are hoping some of that magic is left. Reinstated from the DL on Monday.
Well, the injury was a pectoral muscle, so it wasn't an arm issue. Now he's had a little bit of rest. I think he might be a little rusty, but he could be very valuable for this team down the stretch. People have been wanting to count him out for a long time, and he just keeps on doing what he does.
He has not appeared in a game of the Red Sox since the 19th of July against the San Francisco Giants.
We talked about how John Farrell thought that Clay Buchholz might be one of his freshest starters down the stretch. Certainly Koji, if he could knock the rust off and kind of get back into it, could be one of the freshest relievers.
Nobody out. 2-2 is upstairs. Runner at first base, Sandy Leon, a run in on a Hanley Ramirez home run. As he gets closer and closer to 100 RBIs, Hanley now at 90.
Poke it the other way, Jackie.
3-2 runner going, ground ball to first. Myers slings it down there. He got the out, back to first, and they turn 2. Myers taking a chance, but gets the double play, and there are 2 away, and the bases will be empty for Young. The chants have already started tonight for David Ortiz. Red Sox ahead 6-2.
Jackie just hasn't had any luck at all hitting right into the teeth of that shift. This time a double play.
Here's Chris Young, 1 for 3, a base hit and a stolen base for Chris. Looking at strike 1. A 4-run lead for Boston. Fly to center field. Jankowski has this one measured, and that will do it. Red Sox with another run on a homer by Hanley, 6-2. Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Sox in front 6-2 late. Hanley Ramirez with home run number 21 moments ago. And Koji Uehara coming out of the bullpen for the first time since July. Well, David Price went the first 7. His pitch count was under 100. Are you all surprised Koji's in the game?
I'm a little surprised Koji's in the game because they said he was going to use him in low leverage situations early on. Maybe get him 2-3 appearances in that situation before they threw him into the fire. This game is only a 4-run lead. We have seen Koji at times, when he's not right, get banged around pretty good and pretty quickly. They don't want that happening tonight.
You got to wonder about rust at this point, as John Jay will take the first one down low, ball 1. He's gone 1 for 3 with a single. Red Sox with a pair of runs in the 2nd, 3 in the 4th, another in the 8th. San Diego with single runs in the 1st and 3rd. Friday at 6:30, don't miss Red Sox Game Day Live, presented by DCU. TC and Dennis Eckersley preview the Red Sox pivotal series against Toronto. DCU is Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you?
They do have Robbie Ross up in the pen and warming just in case.
1-1, fouled back to the screen. So left-hander loosening. Koji could play a very important role in this bullpen down the stretch if he is the Koji that we all know and love when he's right.
Well, maybe we'll find out right here. I'd love to see the split right about now.
Always his key pitch.
There you go. See you later.
And a nice sign there, cutting a miss. Down goes Jay. On away in the bottom of the 8th inning. CVS Health is a proud supporter of Stand Up to Cancer. We invite you to share your hashtag reasons to stand up by posting a photo or video of why you stand up to cancer and tag @CVS in action.
Well, he answers a question right there. Does he have his trademark pitch? I'd say yes, sir.
Brett Wallace will be the hitter, hitting in the pitcher spot, which has become the number 2 spot in the order, and he'll look at a strike. Will Myers on deck. The 0-1. And with a fastball, and that's the classic fastball, the elevated heater, around 86, 87 from him. And it's 0-2. Red Sox in a shift, a 3-man shift on the right side of the diamond. Swing and a miss, and man, did he put him away quickly. Back-to-back strikeouts by Koji. Time now for our poll question by People's United Bank. Steve, we see what topics people can vote on to hear you talk about on NESN Sports Today. Text your answer to 536-536. Message and data rates may apply. Price staying hot. Shaw getting hot. How about Koji on that list?
Oh, just high fastballs, 86, 85 miles an hour. But if it's up there, it's tough to hit.
Well, the vintage Koji, certainly in 2013, and there were other times, and at times even this season before that injury, would be the splitter and then a high fastball and strike out 2 or 3 guys. That's exactly what he's trying to do here.
Yeah.
Waved at and missed. That got a piece of the umpire, Kerwin Danley, and the count's 0-2.
I'd say this pretty vintage so far with Koji. That skipped right over Leone. Got Danley on the inside of the elbow.
We're in the last half of the 8th. Red Sox ahead 6-2.
I'm not sure they knew exactly what they'd get out of Koji by putting him in this game right now, but I'm pretty sure they weren't expecting what he's done right here so far.
How sharp he looks. 0-2. Fouled away at the plate. Rolled off Myers, who struck out his last time up. He was one of the 7 strikeout victims of David Price, who's in line for the win. Should Price get it, David would win 6 in a row, and he would be 15-8. His ERA dropped to 3.87.
When this season started for David Price, I guess you figured he could get back into the 15-win range, but I don't think anyone thought he would climb this quickly.
And a 1-2. And a high fly into left center field, closing on that Young. And he'll make the play. And a pitcher spot is due up second when we come back. That means you may see David Ortiz. End of 8, 6-2 Red Sox. Moving moment brought to you by Old Dominion.
Travis Shaw doesn't get a chance to play, and when he does, he just keeps on raking. Another home run, another base hit, 3 RBIs on the day for Travis, following up a 5 RBI day on his last start 4 days ago.
Old Dominion helping the world keep promises. Red Sox ahead 6-2 as we go to the 9th inning.
And look who's up.
Travis Shaw on cue with the home run, the single, and a walk in this one. Now Brock Holt has come to the on-deck area and would hit in the pitcher spot next. It's interesting, though, Dustin Pedroia is after that. Holt, of course, could slide in there and play second base. Crowd making it very certain what they want here in San Diego. And the first one in there for a called strike. But you know, that performance, as David is sitting and watching at the moment, that performance by Koji could wind up being very, very important for this Red Sox team in September. If he's going to be that sharp the rest of the way.
Split looks great. His location of pitches perfect. Let's face it, Koji's rushing that fastball up there at about 85. That is very hittable unless you put it where you want to put it, and he did that.
Leonel Campos out of their bullpen, a right-hander with a 1-1. Poke foul. Red Sox with tomorrow off and then open that big series in Toronto on Friday. We'll start on Friday night, and the next 2 will be day games. 7 o'clock Friday and then 1 o'clock Saturday and Sunday before the Sox come back home for a 7-game homestand on Monday. Orioles and Yankees. Pitch down into the dirt. Down he goes, strike 3. So 1 away in the Red Sox ninth. And now Holt is going to come out and hit in the pitcher's spot, and Dustin Pedroia will come to the on-deck circle. Doma's Dining Playbook every Saturday morning at 9 on NESN. Billy and Jenny take you on a journey at the intersection of where sports and dining meet. Dining Playbook on NESN, driven by New England Chevy dealers.
All the Red Sox fans literally booing when Brock Holt's name was announced. They wanted Big Papi to come up and hit.
I thought he might too.
I thought he would.
Foul back out of play by Brock. Just selected as the nominee for the Roberto Clemente Award. Red Sox representative for that honor.
He is so involved with Dana-Farber and the Jimmy Fund.
Yeah, he really has gotten into it, heart and soul here these last couple of years. Red Sox captain for the Jimmy Fund. And he said, you know, growing up in Texas, he didn't know anything about the Jimmy Fund. This is all new to him in a great way, he said.
That's how good the Red Sox organization is in ingraining that charity and the players that come up to the organization. Of course, he got traded to this organization.
0-2 from Campos. Dustin Pedroia on deck. Get expert emergency care without leaving the ballpark at the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center First Aid Station at Fenway. That's behind Section 12 on the lower concourse. Visit bidmc.org. And the 0-2 pitch. There's a shot, drilled to right, back it goes, sailing, and it's out of here. A shot by Brock Holt to make it 7-2 Boston. Red Sox have hit 3 home runs tonight.
We thought Big Papi might get this shot to hit in that spot in the order, but Brock Holt goes up there acting like Big Papi. And Brock Holt's another one of those guys, Dave, who's begging for a little more playing time, possibly in left field. Look at that ball, just hangs right up there for him. It says hit me, and Brock is so good at that. Surprising power for a smaller guy.
Number 7 for him. Pedroia now. Dustin tonight 2 for 4 with a 2-run double. Everyone messing with his hair these days. His hair's going like straight up. He hit a shot.
Boy, that's a nice day. When you're not in the starting lineup and you sit there for 8 innings and then someone says, hey, you know, grab a bat, go pinch hit. You put one in the seats. It's a long flight to Toronto whether you play or not. It'll be a nice one for him.
It'll be a real nice one for the Boston Red Sox if they get out of here with this victory. Alone in first place. That'll be the case should they win it. They'll have a 1-game lead going into a very pleasant day off, no matter how much sleep they get. And it won't be a lot.
You know, Dave, I really think that's really going to become a story and a tough decision for John Farrell on a daily basis. Who do you play in left field? Who do you play at third base? Who gets the playing time?
Brad Ziegler up in the bullpen. You haven't seen much of Brad lately. Of course, he was down with the flu for several days, but he's been well for a while. Very impressive outing by Koji Uehara tonight. I think the next step for him is doing it against a team in contention, a real dangerous lineup like Toronto. And that's going to be ball 4, so Pedroia is on for the 3rd time tonight. Only 1 out here in the 9th inning. Red Sox leading 7-2. Xander Bogaerts trying to get out of a mini skid here. He's 0 for 3 in this one. Just 4 for 21 on a road trip. Not a ton of hits in this one. The Red Sox have just 8. San Diego only 6. Red Sox got another very good start tonight from David Price.
8 hits, you get to 7 runs. Those runs pile up when you hit 3 balls out of the ballpark.
Red Sox starters have a 3.33 ERA over the last 53 games. The only team better over that span is the Chicago Cubs. When it comes to starters earned run average, that's a pretty long span too. That's 53, now 54 games tonight. Red Sox on the verge of going to 17 games over 500. And the pitch. Cut on and missed, and Xander Bogaerts looking a little tired with that swing. 0 for 4 tonight. And there are 2 away. Stepping Stones for Stella is a nonprofit organization providing outdoor buggies to disabled children. And they'll be hosting a beach volleyball tournament with Nesson on Saturday. Visit steppingstonesforstella.org to register your team of 4 right now. Mookie Betts now. Mookie with a quiet evening. He's 0 for 4. Certainly hasn't been a slugfest tonight. There's a base hit. So he gets a knock here late in the 9th inning. Pedroia to second base. First and second for Hanley Ramirez.
It's a base hit and a good sign for Mookie Betts, hitting the ball hard on the line, on the ground. I always feel like when he starts to tire a little bit, he hits a lot of fly balls, and he had hit 4 fly balls in this game today, and then that one hit hard and on the ground.
So 2 men on. Ramirez with a home run in the 8th inning after 3 times hitting the ball quite hard with nothing to show. Mookie Betts, by the way, now at 185 hits. And a foul ball for strike 1.
Take a look back at that home run right there by Hanley Ramirez. Jumped all over a first pitch fastball that he saw. He got that in on the hands just a little bit. He didn't crunch that thing, but he's so strong he can get one off the handle and still get it out of the yard.
Nice souvenir for a Sox fan. Stands a high chance of falling into the hands of a Red Sox fan here over these 3 games. To the third baseman Solarte. He'll take it to the bag, and the force play will retire the side. Red Sox add on 1 more after the shot by Brock Holt, then lead it 7-2 as we go to the bottom of the 9th. in their bid to win the series and head on to Toronto alone in first place. Rockhold staying in the game after the home run. He will man third. Travis Shaw moving over to first base, and Marrero now in the game at second base. Among the changes, Travis Shaw with another big night at the plate, and Brad Ziegler is now into the contest. Been a little while since we have seen the Submariner.
Well, he was sick and then just not used.
Has not been in a game since the 27th of August against Kansas City. After that bout with the flu. And it was so bad the Red Sox, who were heading out west to go to Oakland, told Brad that he had to fly on his own and not with the team on the charter. A ground ball to first base. That's going to stay fair. Picked up by Shaw for a fast out as Solarte is retired. So one away in the bottom of the ninth. Ziegler, of course, a master of the ground ball. So his role moving forward is going to be very, very interesting, as is Koji's. Some of these roles continue to develop, which is not ideal in September for a pennant contender.
Not really. I'd like to have guys knowing exactly where they're going to come into games, but I just still think this guy can be very effective.
High chopper, Ziegler back to get it, but it's going to be a foul ball. Erwin Danley with a bit of a delayed call, but a foul at home plate.
I don't think that was a foul ball, do you? Let's take this. That thing bounced a mile high.
I thought it was off the plate.
Yeah, or somewhere out in front of the plate. That's not even close. What kind of an act is that? Watch where this ball comes down. That's 3 feet from anyone's foot. That is a bad acting job right there, I'll tell you. Come on.
It was actually a great acting job because they bought it.
Well, I mean, what is this one that you can't review or something?
Nope, this is not reviewable.
Man. Well, I guess you're right then. That is an excellent job of acting right there. When that doesn't come anywhere close to you.
Yeah. Dickerson 1 for 3. And the nominations are pouring in.
Jeez.
Unless he rolled his ankle. And it's going to be a base hit into left field. He's got himself a single with one man out against Ziegler here in front of the catcher Norris. Red Sox trying to put this one to bed with a 7-2 lead in the ninth.
I think one of the reasons why we haven't seen Ziegler in certain situations is because I think John Farrell's a little reluctant to throw him in there against left-handed hitters. He loves them against righties. But you know the way people stack their lineups now, it usually goes lefty righty lefty righty. You don't see back-to-back very often, so you got to use Ziegler when you can, when you feel the most confident.
Norris is 0 for 3. The interesting thing to me about Ziegler is he's been a very reliable closer. Closers don't worry about righties and lefties. They go after everybody. He gets ground balls typically against all kinds of hitters.
I would agree.
He had the glorious moment at Fenway Park where he came on with the bases loaded, nobody out, struck out the side. Struck out 3 consecutive batters. That's a foul off his foot. That one did get him. 0-2 on Norris.
When there was a lot of discussion on who was going to be the 8th inning pitcher for this ball club in a tight game 10 days or so ago, I kept thinking to myself, Ziegler's the guy. When he wasn't sick, why wouldn't he be your guy? Now you have Koji back in the mix. They tried Buchholz.
0-2. And you know what Ziegler's thinking right now? He's thinking about a ground ball right at the shortstop and put an end to the game, and Red Sox get on their way to Toronto.
If he wants that to happen, throw a breaking ball to the outer half of the plate. Norris has become such a spinner. All he wants to do is pull off and pull the ball down the left field line. You throw something away from him, you can induce him into that ground ball double play to short.
0-2 inside and downstairs. The Red Sox trying to get to 17 games over 500. They can do that with this victory tonight should they get it, and that will tie the high water mark for the season. Highest number of games over 500. 1-2, a high fly ball down the left field line, but that'll sail foul. Rick Porcello going in game 1 against Toronto on Friday night in what will be a jam-packed Rogers Center. It's going to be bedlam there. It's one of the loudest baseball parks in the major leagues when it's filled up like that. Has been the last couple of years the way Toronto's played.
They're going to run their best starters at the Red Sox over that 3-game series.
Dickerson at first with 1 down. We're in the bottom of the 9th inning. Red Sox up by 5. And Norris continues to battle. David Price poised to win his 15th and go to 15-8. Red Sox just delighted by Clay Buchholz's performance. He'll stay in the rotation. He'll pitch on Sunday afternoon against Toronto.
That'll be a different type of club that he'll be facing than the San Diego Padres, no doubt.
Swing and a miss. Down he goes, strike 3. 2 away. So 1 more out to get. Here comes John Farrell. He's got Kimbrel going in the pen. That's going to do it for Ziegler. So John goes to the bullpen to get Kimbrel some work, apparently. And we'll take the break as well. 2 down, and John Farrell makes a bullpen change. More in a moment. It's 7-2 Boston lead here with 2 down in the 9th inning, and John Farrell wants to go to Craig Kimbrel here. Last pitched on Sunday in that tough loss at Oakland, where Rodriguez had the no-hitter until 7 2/3 innings. Kimbrel would give up the run in the end. It would break the Red Sox hearts.
Now this basically goes against everything that John Farrell wants to do with Craig Kimbrel. He wants to have him in save situations. Kimbrel's numbers in non-save situations are brutal. And he doesn't want to bring him in a dirty inning. He wants to bring him in when there's nobody on, nobody out. The reason John Farrell is doing this tonight is because he needs Kimbrel to get some action. He needs some game action. He needs him to throw the ball. Off day tomorrow. You do not want him going that long without coming into a situation where it means something.
Runner at first base is Dickerson. He's not being held. With 2 down in the bottom of the 9th, Red Sox ahead 7-2. This is Ryan Schimpf as the runner goes, and they give him second base.
They give him third base if he wants it too.
Defensive indifference, so no stolen base. 7 runs, 9 hits, no errors for the Red Sox. They've left 6 for San Diego. 2 runs, 7 hits, an error. They have stranded 4.
Would you agree, Dave? This is purely to get Kimbrel some work.
I guess that's the reason why. Although Ziegler hadn't worked very much. And wasn't in the game very long.
Got him a little game action too.
I would think that's the reason. He drops in a breaking ball. Man at second. Red Sox an out away from taking a 1-game lead and going to first place all by themselves. The 1-1 downstairs, and that hits him. It did. Got him on the foot. So Schimpf will take his base. And the batter will be Jankowski, who has gone 0 for 3. Jankowski in this one, a strikeout, a comebacker, and a ground at a third.
We've seen the violent action of that breaking ball. That hit him in the front leg. That's hard to do.
And Kimbrel with 2 down. Line drive to left, Young there, and that'll do it. The Red Sox are in first place all by themselves. They're going to take a 1-game lead to Toronto for the 3-game showdown with the Blue Jays. Red Sox at 78-61 in first place all alone, and now 4-2 on this trip. They will say goodbye to the state of California. We've loved being here. We feel like it's been about 6 months, and it's time to move back east.